This house hid unspeakable horrors. Four children aged between 2 and 12 years were allegedly held captive and abused here for years.
The children's alleged ordeal came to an end last week when one of the boys managed to escape and asked a neighbor for help.
What went on between the walls of a red brick double-story house on 36 Plantation Road in Spring, South Africa was nothing short of a nightmare. The neighbors believed that a hard-working businessman lived inside the huge home with his wife. They did not realize that children were even inside the house until an 11-year-old boy who was bruised and beaten escaped and told his terrifying story what had occurred inside this house of horrors. Hello, my name is Holly. Welcome to Murder She Shed, the place we discuss rarely told true crime right from my she shed. I'm glad you could find this nerdy gal in this big YouTube world, and hopefully you'll stick around and subscribe and like and comment and all those good things to help get my channel out into this big world of so many people that I so get lost. I don't know where I went with that. So let's just move on, okay? Because I don't even know. Let's add some lipstick, pretend like nothing that happened, and just move on. Okay, let's go. It was 10 p.m. Monday, May 19th, 2014, when 18-year-old Chandra was scrolling through Facebook in her bed and heard her dog barking hysterically. She knew instantly that someone had to be outside. She woke her dad up and they both peeked out the door. On their front porch stood a young boy with no shirt or shoes on his feet. He was just dressed in green shorts and seemed to have bruises all over his face and chest. When they opened the screen door, the boy started begging them not to tell his dad that he was at their home. They invited the young boy in and he said that he lived next door in that big 2-story home. Family was shocked to learn that there was even any children inside that home. Chandra could smell that the boy hadn't had a bath in a very long time. He had several old scars, clearly caused by wounds that had since healed. He also had bruises all over his face, and there was a chunk out of his ear. The boy is shaking all over, either from cold or fear, or possibly both. Chandra runs and grabs a jacket for the little boy, then wraps him in a blanket. Chandra's father attempts to call the Childline hotline, but receives a busy signal. Suddenly, there is a knock on the family's front door. Chandra's dad walks to the door and finds a young teen girl asking for her brother to come back home. The young boy begs the family if he could just please stay with them. He told them, "My dad will beat me if I go home." Right about that time, a large man appears on their doorstep. The man walks inside their home, brutally snatches the little boy from Chandra's arms and hits him hard with a flat hand against the back of the head so that the child staggers. The young boy then stood up and ran into the kitchen with the man chasing behind him. The whole family was in complete shock. This had escalated so quickly inside their home that they were not sure exactly what to do. The man grabs the boy and drags him outside and heads towards the 2-story house with the teen girl walking slowly behind them. The neighbors were scared and worried all night. They did not call the police to report the incident until morning. I'm not sure why, because if that happened inside my house, I would be calling the police probably while they were still inside the house, because that would have scared me. But decided to wait till the morning. They thought about it all night and then they called the police in the morning. The police showed up at the 2-story house the next morning with 3 social workers. From the outside, the house appeared to be nice, and at one time it was an upper-scale suburban home with trees and a big swimming pool. Officers opened the door to the home and a horrible odor filled the air. A rat ran across the social worker's foot. Bottles of alcohol, bundles of dirty, skimpy-looking clothes, and high heels were scattered around the floor. Rat poop could be seen on the floor and every table at the home. A dead rat was found suffocated in a dirty pot in the sink. The pool table was littered with skimpy-like clothes, like prostitute-like clothes, short dresses, and high heels. In the master bedroom, the bedding and curtains are pitch black. There's a TV with an enormous screen, a bloodied sheet and mattress laying on the floor with syringes all over the room. There are signs of drug use and drugs in the home. Corn, call it that because I can't say the other word, was found all over the master bedroom. The floor, the shelves, everywhere you could look, there was corn of every type. They also found chains, ropes, and a blowtorch. Furniture inside the house looked like it was nice at one time, but in the children's room, there was a dirty mattress on the floor that 5 children slept on together. There was no bedding or blankets for the children to use. There were 37 cameras located inside and outside the property with a TV screen on that showed the different views from each camera. There was hardly no food inside this home. The mom of the house, Sree, was dressed like a in black ripped pants, held together with safety pins and a skimpy top. The teenage girl, Landy, was sitting on the dirty mattress in skimpy clothing, holding 2 little children with the third child clinging to her leg. The littlest children were 2, 3, and 4 years old. Herman Eaglebrecht was the father of the house. He was a large and muscular man with a tight-fitting white shirt and sweatpants who appeared wet as if he had just gotten out of the shower when the police arrived. The 11-year-old boy who had run to the neighbor's house the day before was nowhere to be found, and the officers feared the worst for this little boy. The father refused to tell where the young boy could be found and did not want the other children to leave the home because they had never left the house in their entire lives. He believed the world was an ugly place filled with evil, so they were not even allowed to leave to attend school. He claimed his wife homeschooled the children, but she could not even read or write. After some force by the police, the social workers were able to take the children and their mom from the home. The police completely searched the house for the 11-year-old boy they now knew as Bodie. He was not found. Later, his father will admit to taking him to the home of one of the renters on the property and hiding Bodie in the ceiling tiles of the roof so the officers couldn't witness the wounds he had left on him after almost beating him to death for running away. The House of Horrors secrets would slowly be told by the children and their mom after they realized Herman could no longer hurt them. Herman met his wife Sree when she was just 17 and in special education class. He convinced her to drop out of school and run away with him. Herman was a very dominant and controlling man, so it didn't take any time before he became violent to Sree. Sree quickly became pregnant with their oldest daughter, Landy. 5 years later, they had Bodie, and 3 more children came along a few years after that. Sree feared her husband because he would often beat her. Herman was a nympho and expected sometimes up to 10 times a day. And if Sree refused, he would then her. Sree had to dress like a for Herman and had to watch porn with him and then reenact the scenes. If she refused, he would cuff her to the bed and force himself on her. Sree was only allowed to wear the most provocative clothing, and he also made his 16-year-old daughter dress like that too. Disturbing. Sree was not allowed to leave the House of Horrors unless it was to be with Herman. Herman worked as a used car salesman, sold drugs, and rented out the extra buildings on the property where they lived for income. Usually all the money he made was used for himself or to pay for trips he and his wife took. The children were left locked up inside the house when their parents went on these trips, often with very limited food or diapers for the babies. The oldest daughter, Landy, was responsible for all her siblings, and the children thought of her as their mom. Sree did not pay much attention to her children, nor did she cook or clean the house. Sree was often high and made to obey Herman's every command. If she didn't obey, Herman would chase her with a knife and stab her. He cuffed her on occasions, naked to the staircase or the foot of the table, dragged her around by her hair, and forced her into kinky, sadistic. Sometimes he would make his wife have threesomes and lie in bed all day. Herman would also force his oldest daughter, Landy, to use drugs and watch porn with him. By the time Landy turned 14, he started molesting her too. Herman would tell Landy that her mother didn't give him enough and then force himself on Landy. Although Herman physically abused all of his children, it was 11-year-old Bodie that received most of the abuse. One night, Herman and his friend were sitting in the living room smoking when they spilled some ashes and told Bodie and Landy to vacuum them up. The vacuum was so full, it wouldn't vacuum. So Herman decided Bodie and Landy should be punished for that. Herman and his friend Googled torture techniques and came across waterboarding. So his dad decided that would be their punishment. First, it was Bodie's turn. He ordered Bodie to lie with his back over the edge of the bath and to look at the ceiling. Herman throws a dark blue towel over Bodie's face. Herman opens the bath's cold water tap and fills a jug with water. His friend holds Bodie down while his father poured water on the towel covering his face. Bodie tries to kick, but his dad's friend holds him down. Bodie's chest heaves up and down as he tries to scream, but no sounds come out. The wet towel water in his nose and mouth are suffocating him. He struggles to breathe. Only the smothering sounds are audible. Herman empties the jug over the towel a few more times, and right when Bodie thinks that he might die, they finally let him go. They then would do the same thing to Landy. The men both found it funny. There were cameras all over the house to make sure the children kept working throughout the day. Herman would watch the cameras recordings when he came home from work every evening to make sure that the children didn't leave and obeyed what he would tell them during that day. If he saw Bodie or Landy do something wrong, he would put them in cold water in the bathtub and stick a taser in the water to shock them with it. The water intensified the effects of the taser, making for a stronger shock. Landy even admits that sometimes she passed out from the pain because it was so painful. Sometimes Bodie is tied up, suspended in the air from the rafters, hands chained up together, and then his feet tied together, hanging like a hammock. Herman would pour cold water on him, blow a fan on him to make sure he stayed cold. Just to be more sadistic, Herman would shock him with the taser and spray pepper spray in his eyes. On one occasion, Herman strung him up by the wrist for 2 days using a rope. When asked to be set free, Bodie's father is said to have used tear gas on him. Inside the house of horrors, stun guns, gas pistols, canes, and handcuffs were just as much part of daily life as plates, cups, watching TV, eating, and sleeping are for like a normal home with children. Herman would load the gas pistols with a small glass cylinder and round steel bullets. When he pulled the trigger, the gas fired the bullets, and he would chase the children with the gas pistol when he got mad about the slightest slip up. They would run away from him, but nothing was as fast as those ram bullets. The little balls caused a sharp, burning pain wherever they hit the children. Sometimes it even bled. Sometimes Bodie would be locked in the cupboard for extended periods of times inside this cupboard. He was cuffed and burned with a blowtorch. The children would often distract their father when he was beating one of them in an attempt to relieve their sibling and take turns getting beaten. Landy would often try to shield the 3 youngest children from any harm. There was one incident where Landy attempted to shield her 3-year-old sister from being dragged by her feet up the stairs. The little girl's head hit every step on the way up. Bodie was once left handcuffed to a kitchen cupboard while his parents went to Durban for a weekend. The children had to survive on the small amount of food they were given. When there was no food in the house, Landy would give the children lots of water to try and fill their bellies. Sometimes one of the tenants that rents a building on the property would feel sorry for the children and buy them some food. So other people didn't know this was occurring, but according to everything I saw, the tenants that lived on that property were scared of Herman too. They didn't want to cross him in either way, so they didn't tell what was going on. Sometimes if Herman is mad at his children, he will buy himself food and eat it in front of them while they go hungry. Herman is the only one with decent, clean clothing, and he has lots of dress shirts, which he actually makes Landy clean and iron for him. One day, Herman asked Landy to make him coffee and put milk in it, but they were out of milk. So he commanded Landy to kneel and drop her head down. Landy walks up to him, kneels on the low chest at the foot of the bed, and drops her head. Her father pulls his leg back. A burning hot pain shoots through her face because her father had kicked her with his heavy boot. The salty still taste of blood is everywhere in her mouth, and blood pours out of Landy's nose. Kicks her again as if he too has also tasted blood, and once more. Her father is always forcing Landy to perform on him. He is even brave enough to touch her with the whole family lying in the living room. There's a nasty mattress that lies in front of the TV in the living room. Herman and Cray lay side by side on the mattress in front of the TV. Landy lies on the carpet next to her father. The room is only dimly lit, the flickering lights of the TV making only the outlines of the family visible. No one, including Landy, sees her father's hands inching in her direction. She don't move a muscle and he begins touching her. Sadly, she was abused often like this. After she was taken away from the family, they did actually test to see if any of those smaller children were her children instead of her mother's children. They all belonged to her mother. Thank God she didn't have to endure getting pregnant by her father and having a baby. That would be horrifying. This would actually be the last time Landy would be essayed by her father before he was arrested. After this is when her brother Bodie would run to the neighbors after his father accused him of losing the keys and then assaulting him. After Bodie had been forced home from the neighbor's house by his father, he would get beat in the face so much that it almost killed him. He's beat all over his body, not just his face, but his face got the worst of it. I don't know how he didn't keep from getting brain damage. It was so awful. He pinned him down, sit on him, and just beat him repeatedly forever. I don't even know how long, for hours. Landy then washed the blood off her brother's face when her father gets done. Bodie's nose is broken and his eyes are swelled shut. He can only eat small amounts of food at a time because his jaw was probably broken too. When the cops showed up the next day, Herman saw how bad Bodie looked and the blood he still had on him from the beating the night before. So Herman threw Bodie into the pool to rinse him off so that the police dogs couldn't smell the blood on him. Herman then wrapped Bodie in a blanket and hid him in those ceiling tiles of one of his tenants' roofs. This is why the police could not find Bodie that day and why Herman had been wet when the police arrived. Before Herman was arrested, he had got Bodie out of the attic and then taken him to a relative's house to hide him. Cray ended up telling the police where they could find Bodie. And even though his injuries had healed some, they could still see the evidence of what Herman had done to him. After Herman was arrested, Bodie said he hated his father intensely and would have killed him if he had could have. Said, I wish there were people in jail who could hurt him like he hurt me. I wish they could also burn him with a blowtorch and hit him and shock him so that he will know how he hurt me. I sometimes see the scars he gave me and I hate him. He felt he would never be normal and wondered why he's still alive, although he felt he had saved his siblings by escaping and getting help, and he really did. Only the youngest two children did not have wounds on their bodies from the abuse. The other three had scars and past signs of fractures that had healed. Cray, who did little to stop the abuse, was convicted of 5 counts of child neglect, drug possession, obstruction of justice, and defeating the ends of justice. She received a suspended sentence of 5 years on certain conditions. The Springs monster, as Herman is now known, was found guilty of the abuse of his oldest daughter, Landy, the attempted murder of his son, Bodie, obstructions of justice related to the initial on-site search, 5 charges of child abuse, 5 counts of child neglect, 2 charges of breaking the Schools Act, showing porn to his underage daughter, using and distributing drugs, and was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Even after Herman was arrested, Cray continued to support her husband. She even sent him love letters in prison. Landy and Bodie both said that their mother did not care if they were being abused. She never shed a tear for them. None of the children ever want to see their mother or father again. I can't blame them. Landy and Bodie both went to foster homes while the other 3 children were put in an orphanage. Parts of my story today was taken from Landy's book that she helped write called House of Horrors, My 16 Years of Hell in Spring, which you can actually find on Amazon. I'm going to leave some bloopers on the end so that you guys won't be left in such depression after this horrible story about the spring monster. It's where my self-esteem is today. It's in the dirt. Sliding on through the cow manure and hoping to come out clean on the other side. I don't know what that even meant, but okay, let's get going. Oh God, I'm sweating like a 2-dime whore in a whorehouse in Texas. She shed is freaking hot and I can't turn on the air because it makes too much noise and I'm sweating so bad, and hopefully y'all can't see. Just pretend the glisten on my face is just like from excitement from seeing you guys, not because I'm burning up or anything. Let's begin the story before I get sidetracked again. I'm in one of those moods where I easily get sidetracked, out of Adderall. So, yeah, there's that. Okay, when they opened the screen door, I was doing so good too. Dirty pot in the sink. Ugh. Yuck. Of course, nasty old food was laying everywhere, which causes a rat problem. Indeed it does. There's a TV with an enormous screen, and I don't know why my computer keeps beeping. Dang it. I feel like a rat in a pot right now, boiling. Pool table was littered with Did I just belch through my video? I don't know what's going on today. The shelves, everywhere you could look, there was corn of every type. I don't mean corn on the cob, or creamed, or never mind. Really sadistic sex, kinky, weird stuff. I mean, if you're into it, cool. But yeah, they were definitely into it. It's hotter than blue blazes in here. It's hot enough to scald a lizard. I don't mean a lot lizard. I mean actually lizard that sends itself. It's hot enough to fry an egg on my head. If the humidity's high, my straight hair somehow becomes straighter. And if I try to curl it, well, I don't know why I do try to curl it, because, well, it just dies a limp death. And also, I forgot to tell you guys, I got my four-wheeler fixed. Remember, it was broken. I ran a stick through the radiator. It's now fixed. So Simon is a happy guy again. In fact, he won't leave his side. I truly feel like he thinks that four-wheeler is his girlfriend. He's not fixed. He's never been interested in any female, ever. But I swear to God, he is in love with this four-wheeler. Every time you say the word four-wheeler, or gets around the four-wheeler, he gets a little red rocket. I'm not lying, guys. I'm not lying. Maybe that's how the hole got my radiator. Maybe there's something I don't know. I don't know. Let me find him. For this story's getting weird. See it? See it? All right.